Hello, record nerds and random Chet Baker fans of the internet. I recently went to a vinyl record store and I managed to find this. Chet Baker Sings Pacific Jazz 1222 Blue Note Tone Poet Series. The one that I've been waiting for ever since I got the Chet Baker It Could Happen to You album. And towards the end of that video, I said that I was hopefully gonna get this record and review it. And given that I like classic vocal jazz records, both in mono and stereo, from the 50s and 60s that are nice, relaxing, and soulful, this review calls for the special treatment that I gave to the Leontine Price record I did. So let's jump into this record, shall we? So we got the Chet Baker Sings Pacific Jazz Blue Note Tone Poet series. It costed me $40 at a local record store, at a record shop in town. And let's take this out together. Let me just put you down for a second. Sorry about the noise, guys, because I don't have a proper tripod. If I can get it standing right. And when I got this record, I knew I had to review it because of the artist, the genre, the rarity of this, the rarity and how elusive this record was, and the fact that I got a nice green screen, a nice light, a mixer that I got right here, and a little condenser mic right here. The condenser mic. Now let's adjust it and let me open it up and see what's inside. So here we have the Chet Baker record. Let's open it up. This looks really cool. Chet Baker, Russ Freeman on the piano. This is a nice gatefold. Here's another one. Russ Freeman, Chet Baker, and Carson Smith. And there's him playing the trumpet, guy on the bass, guy on the piano, guy on the drums. Seems they got a nice setup going on in there. And here's the back. Finally, I got the Pacific Jazz. version of this record. And let's take the record out and see what we got. It's a RTI, Record Technology Incorporated. I've never in my life have I seen a sleeve look like this. I had several audiophile pressings that have a sleeve like this, and this one is the nicest looking. And I usually take the hype sticker and put it on the sleeve, and we're gonna take it out and I'm gonna show you. Yeah, it's perfectly clean. I don't see any damage to it, so that's good. I don't see any damage to the record at all, considering the price that I paid for it and considering how rare this is. You can see my acoustic bass. World Pacific Records, Pacific Jazz Series, Chet Baker sings. On there shows the musicians, James Bond 007 on the bass. And okay, it's not really James Bond 007. I'm just messing with you guys. Anyways, I'm gonna have a listen to this and I'll check back with you after I do that. Alright, so I just played myself the first song on the record, which is But Not For Me, which is my muscle memory and my ASD. Given that I really like the song But Not For Me, I always started on side 2 as opposed to side 1 on this Chet Baker Sings record. And this is a really good record. I've only listened to this one, But Not For Me, because I want to get the sound demo on the Spectrum Analyzer, which I'll put a picture of it on the screen here. And I thought the audio quality was pretty good. Has nice quiet sound, minimal crackle, and the highs come across very clearly, as well as the bass, the treble, the sound of Chet's voice, the sound of the big upright bass, the sound of the piano, and everything. Now if we zoom out and take a look, you can see that I got the Chet Baker Sings Pacific Jazz, and it's a Blue Note Tone Poet. And what I'm gonna do now is listen to the rest of this record, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this record, because I don't want to pass a judgment of the music right away. I mean, I already did pass a judgment of the music on this a long time ago on my other video where I reviewed the other Chet Baker, where I said that it was relaxing, soulful, intimate, and warm, something like that. And now I have the Chet Baker Sings first record. So I'm gonna give this record a listen in its entirety, and I'll be right back. Well, what do you know? This is not a bad sounding record at all. And I thought the music is really good. Has nice relaxing music to it. And now it's time for my final review. Just another shot of this record. Chet Baker Sings. RTI. Got my Tone Poet hype sticker on there, which I will be talking to you about the record and the history behind it and whatnot in a few seconds. Alright, so I just finished listening to this record again, or at least the first song on this album, on this Chet Baker Sings record. Sorry. Now let's talk about a little bit. So, as I was reading the back of this record while I was listening to it, it mentioned somewhere that it includes previously released material, which is right here. This album includes on one side the entire 10-inch long play album that first introduced young Chet Baker as a singer. The reverse side is devoted to a brace of new vocal and trumpet performances arranged by Chet's accompanist pianist Russ Freeman. So I went ahead and captured the audio of one of the tracks for side 1, That Old Feeling, and for side 2 I did But Not For Me, and I went ahead and got a spectrum analysis on these two songs, which I will put them on the screen right now. And the story of this record is that it says here, down here, originally released in 1956. So it came out in 1956, and there was a 10-inch of this called Chet Baker Sings, where it only had the first half of the album. It had like right here. Had the first half of it. This year, recorded July 23 and July 30, 1956. That's for the new recordings on side A. And on side B, it says here, recorded February 15, 1954. So that's at side B. No, side B. Sorry, that's side B, which is where all the songs recorded in 54. But Not For Me, My Funny Valentine, which is a song that we all know, that we all hear when somebody mentions Chet Baker. And for side 1 is where the new half of the album arrived. And Chet Baker also made this record called Chet. It had a picture of him in the background of a yellow canvas, and there's like a lady leaning next to him. I'll put a picture of that on the screen. Anyways, this record, Chet Baker Sings, this one, and It Could Happen to You, which I happen to have in my collection right here. And I just need one more Chet Baker disc in my collection, and that would be Chet. The self-titled album Chet. The stereo one. Not the mono one, the stereo one. And I think those are all the Chet Baker albums that I like that he released. Chet Baker Sings, Chet Baker, It Could Happen to You, and Chet. And that's it. Yeah, Chet Baker, It Could Happen to You. It came out in 1958, I believe, maybe 59. 1958 or 59. Oops. So it came out in 1958. And there's a history back here. He was born in Yale, Oklahoma in December of 29. It's pretty cool. There's some cool stuff. And on this record, this specific release, since it is the Tone Poet, in here is the pictures that we saw earlier in this video. There's Chet singing, playing with the pianist, and another one of Chet playing the trumpet, piano, drum kit, and there's also the bass. The upright bass. It's an acoustic double bass, which I would love to have one of those someday. Maybe if I go to a Goodwill, I might see it. because I have a piano in the corner of my room. Oops. Anyways, just to sum it up, recommend this record. This release is hard to find. I found this at a record shop just down the road after I went to an eye doctor that day. Oops. And I was really happy when I saw this because this was so hard to find. And if you happen to go to a record store and you see this record, buy it right away because this is a must-have for anybody who is collecting jazz records. That's it. Has a really nice sound. I really like this Tone Poet records. I have another Tone Poet record and it's called Songs for Swinging Lovers by Frank Sinatra. I remember getting it when it came out and I remember listening to it 2 weeks after pre-order and they shipped it to me and I thought it was pretty good. And the first time I reviewed a Chet Baker record was It Could Happen to You. And it didn't have the fancy intro or the fancy setup or anything. But given the genre of this record, I decided to give this review the treatment it deserves. And that's it. That's all I want to show you. I guess I'll put something here reviewing my Forza del Destino record, and right here I'll put like a review of my acoustic bass, and right here I'll put all the other records that I have reviewed on the second season of this review series. That's it. Happy record hunting. May the pioneer of jazz trumpet rest in peace. I'll see you all soon.